have to play to win.
For the love of God and country.
Ignorance is bliss.
You can't take it with you.
Good night.
What's your emergency?
Welcome to Aspire. I want to talk to you in this particular program about what it means to have a pain in your life and what the pain in our life really is all about. Everybody looks at pain as though it's bad. And if you watched the little opening we had, isn't it interesting that all of the things that happen to us from the moment we are born till our adolescence to our adulthood, as it were, if we ever get there, is about accumulation of all sorts of experiences, many of which are with people that we are told that we love or that we think we love. And eventually these people create for us, and we create for them, a real pain in the butt. And our pain goes on and on and on from that point. Isn't it interesting that my love for you can soon be a pain to you, and your love for me can bring such pain and agony for me? What is all this pain about? What is pain in general, especially when it is applied to the meaning of our life and a life worth living? Well, you know, it's interesting. We fall in love with people so they can create enough pain for us that we might soon learn to grow and mature out of the idea of the emotions that we have for them and into the meaning of our life. The biggest pain in our life comes when I am going to insist upon the idea that my emotions are the way I feel. And it's all about one thing, our spirituality. Most of us don't have a sense of our spirituality. We equate that to religion. I do not. When I am talking about spirituality, I am not talking about religious belief. I'm not talking about icons like Buddha, Jesus, Lao Tzu. Yet I will refer to them as teachers, masters, wisdom. But I am not an ism kind of person. And it's very, very important that you understand somehow within you that you are a spiritual being having the experience within the humanness of you of what your life might be all about. Most people approach their life from the outside in rather than from the inside out, which causes me a great deal of pain. So what is an examined life that is worth living, as Socrates might suggest to us? It means that I begin to understand the nature of my pain. And rather than disliking it or associating it with the idea that there's something wrong with me because I got pain in my life, I begin to see that pain is pointing to different places in me. Maybe assumptions and the consumption of my obsession in my own life, especially with my thoughts and my emotions. It all boils down to what am I running from in my life? What are you running from in your life? If you watch people, just watch them eat, watch them talk, watch them interact on the street, you'll see everybody's running from something. We all have pain. Jesus had pain. Buddha had pain until he awakened. And in his awakening, as he started to awaken, and Jesus talked about it as well in his awakening, we begin to find that the human serves the divine, not the divine to the human. And that's where we make our mistake. Most people go to church to find answers. They believe in philosophies to find answers to their life, to make their life more enjoyable, less painful. But you know what? The more you try to reduce your pain through what you believe in, the more the pain grows and grows and grows in you. Lao Tzu, who I consider personally the greatest master that ever touched the earth, said, until we are sick of our sickness, we make no progress towards our life and the meaning of our life. And most people aren't sick of their sickness. They've got every rationale to keep doing what they're doing, saying what they're saying, and living as they're living. And they insist that their way is correct. And that's why I have a lot of pain in my life, because I insist that things are the way I want them to be. I insist that they are the way they appear to be to me. And I should always have an answer for whatever it is that's going on so I can rationalize my own evil. And that's the way we live. But when you get sick of your own sickness, You begin to become humble enough. Jesus talked about it as meekness. We begin to have a chance to learn from the inner. Learning from the inner, or being aware of the inner, is totally different than the mental constraints we have in our mind that sometimes traditional therapy offers us, which is useless. What we have to begin to recognize is the futility of human emotion. It is totally futile. And while it drives the planet in all ways, it is still the most futile aspect of us. And it causes us the most pain. What would it be like to live outside the pain box, the pain body of my emotionally futile thoughts, where instead of living my life for what I believe in and what I insist upon and how I view the life, I begin to take a little insight and I reckon with my heart and my soul over my thoughts and emotions. Well, we'll do about anything to run away from our pain. We have a whole set of amusement parks set up. Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm. Over here in Santa Cruz, we have a wonderful place for people to ride things that make them sick and afraid. We like being afraid to a certain degree. That's a part of our obsessive sickness, that we like controlled fear. And then that makes us feel like, oh my God, you know, that panic, that fulfillment of gratification, to feel a certain amount of our sickness, but not too much. But we never seem to realize why we're doing all of that. We're running from our pain. And the more obsessive compulsive I am about running from my pain, and the more I gratify it through things like that, entertainment, you know what I mean. Oh God, I can just hear you right now sitting there going, is he saying to us we shouldn't go to Disneyland? Is he saying to us we shouldn't go watch movies? I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just showing you what we do. I'm not shooting on you. You do with your life what is meaningful to your life. And you'll have to decide what your life is all about and how much pain you want to feel and how many doors you want opened in your life. And is your life worth living? And do you want to examine the way you're living your life? I am not here to tell you to do all of that. I'm here to suggest that a lot of the things that contribute to our pain are self-chosen. And that's why we have so much sickness in our life. And until we are sick, as Lao Tzu said of our sickness, this is all going to be very profitable. It's interesting, isn't it? Our obsession and compulsion with the whole idea of pain. We make pain the very thrust of our life. As economics runs this country, our pain runs our life. And we're trying to avoid it at all costs instead of maybe considering where it comes from, what it's all about, and how it might help us even. You have within you a pain body that your ego has created. This pain body is about a lot of different things, about how you store your pain from your childhood and your adolescence. It's also from a lot of your past life stuff too. But you're going to have to begin, if you want to live a life worth living, to consider the whole idea of maybe that this pain doesn't need to drive you. It isn't about making it go away. It isn't about making it poof, disappear. Disappearing pain is ridiculous. You're always going to have pain as long as you have a body. Disgrace comes with having a body, as Lao Tzu said. But what's important is how you honor this pain, how I listen to it, and how I adapt to it. And I begin to consider the whole idea that there is going to be a certain amount of pain that is going to happen as you start to migrate into your heart and soul. That your ego, the vanity, the pride of all of us of having this human body is going to suffer grievously because you're not going to give that pain body, that sickness in you, a lot of time and attention. And as you wean yourself off your pain ever so slightly, you're going to find that your ego and your pain body scream bloody murder at what's going on. Oh my God, you're killing us. You're going to kill yourself, which talks about and bespeaks of how we've identified so deeply with our pain body. It's everything to us. In fact, when you look at yourself, you look at the pain you've been through. I like watching people I enjoy them. I respect them. I feel people are sacred in many different ways. I like looking into a person's eyes and seeing what they've been through in their life. I like the wrinkles on their faces because I like seeing what they've been through. Some people have been through a great deal. Their whole life is nothing but, well, it's written on their face through the lines, the wrinkles, the DNA, what they've been through, their pain, their suffering. Some people have learned how to avoid it, and yet it lives within them, and they become subjected to it constantly. Other people, very few, have learned to accept it, and it's ripened them. It's actually made them more beautiful. That's what it's all about. If I am going to have pain, I want to learn how to listen to it. I want to, as Socrates said, examine it a little bit. What is it saying about me? What is it speaking to me? You see, in the normal intellect of a person, in their normal psychology, this kind of talk doesn't go over well. Because their mind is saying, no, 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 I don't want pain. No, 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 I don't want to hear this. I want to hear, how do I get the life I want? I want a perfect life. I just don't want any pain. But you see, where there is growth, there is pain. And where there is stagnation, there's pain. So either way, you can't avoid it. The mature individual is mature because they listen to their pain. They don't try to run away from it. In fact, they incorporate it in their life to such a degree that they have a sense of humor about it and a willingness to allow their life to exceed their pain, which is, in my opinion, a life worth living.
Conflict to me is the juice that my human part can run off. Instead of staying in a nice calm space of being in the moment, it can make needless worry run me back and forth. My practice makes me very aware of the conflict, so I can then go to a place inside myself that's not necessarily a mental choice, but a flow away from.
This is so beautiful. You look at this beauty and it's hard to understand that there's so much misery and pain out there in the world, but nature is one thing and we have learned to become another. We have separated ourselves from this beauty because we continue to insist upon futility. We want to run away from our pain. Instead of learning to listen to it and mature by listening to it, we want to avoid it. And we want to give it interpretations that really doesn't have, like that you're a bad person and being punitive. Just because you might be suffering from some pain, someone annoys you or something is difficult in your life, doesn't mean you're a bad person. There are no bad people. It's all about how I allow my pain to influence my life and how I live my life. And that's what Socrates might have been alluding to here when he said a life unexamined isn't worth living. Maybe we need to examine our pain in a way that brings about insight and clarity, maturity. Who'd have thought? It was Kahlil Gibran who talked about pain. He said that pain was the very thing that opened up the seed and allowed us to grow and mature, thus bringing us a new understanding. He is so beautifully right. This is so on the money. It's so important that we not avoid our pain. It's so important that we listen to it. And the mature person not only listens to it, but gains guidance from it. What is it in us that makes us want to not listen to our pain? Our pride, our vanity, and our ego. What I call the sick pain body that we have, all of us in this life, that we seem to nurture and invest our whole life in. We gratify it. We try to do it through all sorts of methods. My master used to tell the story about the two brothers. One brother would go into the village in the middle of the night and throw soot and tar all over the windows. And the next day, his brother would come in and wipe them all clean. That's the way we live in our mind. Our mind is about making great pain over here and then coming over here maybe later, a couple of days later, and trying to fix it. And we spend our whole life running from our pain, running from the pain of our life and not seeing the futility. Lao Tzu was right. I've got to be sick of my own sickness. I've got to come to some point where I can't look at myself any longer and try to cover up my pain by being athletic or sexy or rich or famous or whatever it is you think will make your pain go away. You've got to come to a place where you want to come to a standstill and say, no more will I be pushed around by this. Trouble is, that takes a lot of initiative, a lot of courage, a lot of energy. And it means that a lot of our pain must be realized as self-chosen, which means I'm going to have to go into a process, a practice. I teach a practice to help my students understand the nature of their pain, and then I give them the tools to deal with it through their meditation. For a lot of people, it's very difficult. For some people, it's a natural, and for still others, it's essential. But you know, you got to start looking at your life before this can work for you, not as a matter of running or trying to problem solve your pain. Like I said earlier, this is the most important thing I want you to hear in this segment. Learn how to be with your pain without protest. Learn how to listen to it open-mindedly. Learn how to coexist with it and revere what it's trying to teach you without punishing yourself and saying to yourself, I shouldn't be having this pain in my life. If you have a human body, as Lotso said, you're going to face disgrace, as Lotso said. And that means you're going to have certain amount of pain in your life, like Lotso said. Jesus had it, Buddha had it, we all do. Don't make it a personal thing, but don't run from it either. Try to understand it through not filters, but through the flavor of meditation. Listening and wanting nothing with all of your heart is the real answer. Wanting not it to make sense to you, not for it to tell you what you should and should not do, because it's never a matter of that. It's how you proportion yourself, how you position yourself, how you posture yourself from within your own being. What do you listen to? The nagging crying of your emotions saying, I want more affection, I want more of this, I need more of that, this has got to go away before I'll be happy, I won't leave you alone until this happens. Or you listen to the throb of your heart, of your soul, and you listen and start to resonate. Learning how to resonate to that which lives within you is the true mechanism of spiritual work. And spiritual work is not hocus pocus. It isn't about what you believe in. It's about what you can practice in your life that makes life worth living. Since you were a child, I am sure, your parents probably punished you, brought about some pain in your life. And pain, since the day you were punished, whether it was physically hit or emotionally slapped, has been the premise of your whole life and how to avoid it. It's what it is. People are afraid of pain. There are two types of pain, as I talked about in the program, useful pain and useless pain. The useless pain is the pain that happens over and over and over again according to my low self-esteem, where I don't feel very much about myself. I'm not too much interested in who and what I am. I just want the social graces and be able to get through this life in some way that gets me what I want. And there's a lot of pain at the end of the life that lives that way. And then there's the useful pain. The cracking of the shell, as Kahlil Gibran talks about, where we start to mature and grow, maybe with the pain of stepping out of my emotions, stepping out of my fears, stepping out of my passions, and into something more creative, more playful, more loving, maybe more nurturing. I don't think we know how to nurture ourselves very well in the West. We sure know how to create the entertainment that avoids our pain, but that only brings about more pain later on, a whole ton of it. It might be best, I might suggest, to face your pain now while you're agile, while you're willing, and maybe while you have the inner strength to look at it and go, you know, I don't need to punish myself for anything. A spiritual path is not punitive. Religion is about punitive relationships with friends and family and with your God, but not in a spiritual practice. In a practice, it's all about love and forgiveness. I'm grateful you joined me. Come back next week, won't you? Please forgive me. Namaste. Hey, Master Dow, how come Buddhists don't vacuum in the corners?
Because they don't have any attachments.
Okay, you've already heard that one.
Yes, and if you could just find joy in your foolishness instead of your stupid jokes, you would always be joyful.
Okay, let's try this one. How many monks does it take to change a light bulb?
None. They are the light bulb.
Oh, guess you've heard that one too, eh?
Living your life is a task so difficult, it has never been attempted before.
We all have our pains in life, people that we've known. This right here, see this little face here? This is the big pain of my life. But I accept you the way you are, and I still love you. Can I kiss you? Da 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 da. It's Winchell Mahoney time. It's Winchell Mahoney time. Da 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 da. I bet you didn't know that Paul Winchell made the first artificial heart. He actually designed it, made it, and then gave it to UCLA.
Donut guy?
Yeah, no, he's a ventriloquist. Da 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 da